I just went to hide.
Papa, I love you.
I just
All
went
right.
to hide non-video participants so I can at least feel like we got a group here.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank y'all so much for coming out. We've got people still flying in, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And if you've been living under a rock, or at least from a home pros perspective, or really even living under a rock in the real estate industry, then you may not know who my next guest is today. But I'm pretty sure that everyone here does know. And guys, again, we're going to ask you to mute your phones if you can, just because we've got a lot of people that are getting on the call and a lot of people are still coming into the room. So I am thrilled to, welcome David Knox. I've known David Knox since, 2004, 2005. What David doesn't probably know is, and he knows that we were just talking about how long I've been in the industry. I've probably known David Knox or known of David Knox since the early mid 90s, and
Okay.
watched him. And we would, at different real estate brokerages that I was at, we'd either have the videos. He was kind of known back in the 90s, especially. He had a video, kind of video sets that we would give videos to the customers, which was amazing. And then of course through my life of my journey in real estate, I was able to meet David at one point. Then I was actually able to bring David in and speak to one of my companies, one of my past companies events. And I guess 2004, 2005, I think it was, David. And so I'm thrilled that we are now partners and doing business together, and that we can provide this to our team here. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to be super quick on this, is we're going to go through several questions and kind of an interview perspective with David. And then after that, I think David and I are going to have a little bit of a conversation, which you guys are welcome to join in with questions, kind of about the state of the industry, what's going on with these commission lawsuits. You probably saw, or hopefully you saw and watched, we sent you out. David's got a whole new set of videos on the commission lawsuits. He's kind of talked to the top of the people in the industry, kind of what their thoughts are and what's going on with that. And then I think the last part of this, what I'd really like to do is for David to kind of share a little bit about the platform and how you guys can level up your business and really create and develop your skills by utilizing the platform. So if you're not using the platform, I know we've got people that literally it's part of their miracle morning. They wake up and watch a David Knox video. They have their coffee, they turn it on their phone, or they turn it on their TV. So we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end. So I'm going to get started because that's what we need to do here. So David, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Frank. And thank you for investing in your agents. Thanks for being a customer of mine. A very small percentage of broker owner managers are investing in training. And sadly, when times get tough, it's the first thing they cut. I'm thinking, are you really? But that's what they do. So the fact that you're investing, I want everybody on this Zoom call to know that it's a rarity. And I could, because I'm the one, they cancel. Well, we're trying to save money, so we're going to cancel. I go, really? So in one of the more difficult markets we've had in 10 years, you want your agents to be untrained? Is that what I hear you say? Seriously? You want them to not know anything and go forward and make the same mistakes that got us in the lawsuit? Yeah, I guess that's what we want.
Well,
I respect you, Frank.
No, and I appreciate you saying that. And I think it's one of those things in the brokerage business, and this, you work with brokers all over the country. It's this, and the agents here know this. We'll put a training together. There's a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of prep work, and then you may get 15, 20 people to show up, and it's hard, and it's gut wrenching sometimes as a broker or as an owner of a company, because
Right.
you want to help develop their skills. You want to bring people of your caliber or value, or at least the skills that you're trying to present. And so I appreciate you saying that. All right, well, let's get straight into you, because I mean, I have a lot of questions about you. I've known you on a professional level, but I don't know so much on a personal level. And I'd like to, I was just kind of sharing with you, this is my 30th year, and you probably are like, hold my beer, because I know you've been doing this quite a bit longer than I have. But let's get straight from the I know you were born in Iowa, so why don't we just start from the beginning and maybe just give us a little information about David Knox.
Well, yeah, very quick. Yeah, I was born in Iowa. I've been in this, born in Cedar Rapids, Peoria, Milwaukee, then moved to Twin Cities. Then in 1972, I got into the real estate business. So we're just coming up on 51 years. And I was in college and I came out and, I was still an Animal House guy. I was really young, immature, partying all the time. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" I said, "Nothing." My long-term planning was about an hour. And he said, "Well, I'm going to go to a real estate class, get my real estate license. You want to come with me?" I went, "Okay." So with that commitment, I got into the business. And for the first years, I was just partying. And finally, I realized I got to clean up my act. So in '78, I decided to get serious about my life. And, I quit drinking and partying. And I think I quit smoking too. I think I really made some serious personal changes in my life. And then also my life turned around and things were good. I became a top agent in our company here in Twin City area. Ralph Burnett, who owned the company, made me his training director. And I had done a course in a conference room on working with buyers. And I was honored to be invited to speak. And at the end, I thought, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love this. I love being in front of an audience. I like training. I like helping agents. And Ralph called me up and said, "How'd you like that?" And I said, "I want to do this for the rest of my life." He says, "Good, because they thought you were the best presenter of the 2-week training." I went, "Well, that's nice." And I went on to be the training director for a company that it was Burnett Gagner, then it became Burnett, then they sold to Merrill Lynch, and they bought it back, and then it ended up selling to Coldwell Banker in, I don't know, the early 90s. So Ralph is, I still stay in touch with Ralph. And then in '82, Merrill Lynch bought the company, and I became the national training director for Merrill Lynch. So I was in charge of training for all 33 operating units across the United States. I was racing cars with Paul Newman, dating a beautiful woman I should have married, and having a great life. Came back '86, started David Knox seminars. And I've done 3,500 live seminars, all 50 states, 8 provinces, 14 or 15 countries. And I don't know how many people it adds up to, but my passion has been, you put me in front of an audience and I feel good. I love it. I enjoy it. And I love working with agents. I love interaction, which is why when people's cameras are off, it just, I feel physical pain of that. I like interaction two-way. I love it when people argue with me, disagree, agree. I don't care what you do something. And that's why I like live seminars. But COVID took that out.
Sure,
Just
sure.
went to zero. I thought the lockdowns were criminal, frankly. I don't know how you all feel about it, but so anyway, but then in fact, in 2008, when the subprime lending crashed the market, that also killed my business. And I thought, we've got to do something. Brokers desperately need training in an economical way. Agents desperately still need to learn. They have to have the skills. And so I'd been in the video business forever. And I said, well, we take it off DVD. Let's go online. So in 2009, we created Real Estate Training by davidknox.com. And I call it the Netflix of real estate training, fairly accurate summary. And back then, there was no such thing as streaming. It was called buffering. Oh, look at that cute little dog. Buddy, I'll bring Buddy up to meet him. So in 2009, we started this online service. And I think we started with 70 videos. Now we've deleted more videos than we started with. I think we've deleted 150 of them. And now we have 540 videos. And the thing that I wanted to do on our videos was twofold. Number one, I didn't want it to be about me. Now, I am on a lot of them. I am the spokesperson and the trainer, and I write all the scripts and I shoot and I do a lot of that. But two philosophies. One was 5 minutes of show me is worth more than 5 hours of tell me. So to the best of our ability, we demonstrate through role plays. Role playing is the number one best, most powerful way to learn this business. And sadly, it's the number 1,000th on the list of what agents will do. So it's just this dichotomy of the best thing you can do to become competent is the one thing you don't like doing. And I go, I don't know what to tell you other than suck it up and be a professional. So I love role playing. It's one of my favorite forms of training. I love that. And I don't even care if I'm bad at it. You don't have to be good at it. In fact, I would just tell you, you will suck at it. But then the question I ask agents, do you want to suck with each other? Or do you want to do it in front of a seller that's going to pay you 5-10 grand? I think I'd rather do it in front of a seller. Well, then go for it. And the other thing is we've got 80 or 90 faculty in our training. Some of the top agents in America. We feature an icon in the real estate business named Bob Wolf. Frank, you probably heard of him, but he is an amazing guy. He pays more in income tax than most people gross in sales volume. I mean, that's how good he is. In fact, he's so good, I almost don't like telling people how good he is because they just, oh, I could never be like Bob. And the answer is, yeah, you probably won't. But his daily skills, anybody can do. 5 calls a day, 5 handwritten thank you notes. Nobody can't do what Bob does. Now, he's in a high-priced neighborhood and he's built a great sphere of influence, but you get to hear from a top guy. Venus Morris Griffin probably does 2 million in gross commission income. So we feature a faculty of top agents. You know, in the lawsuits, I featured Marcy Rogo, who's on the directors of NAR. She's on the Professional Standards Committee. So she's the go-to person for ethics. Jack Miller, head of Swanepoel T360, who's done tons of research on the lawsuit. So I involved him in that. So I go out in the world and find top agents, top experts, and I bring it all to you. And then 80% of the agents won't watch the videos.
I have a follow-up
It's my
question for you.
ongoing frustration. And I've said that, you know, if real estate agents wanted success as much as their broker wants it for them, they'd be hugely successful. So, yeah,
I have a follow-up question for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I want to go back to when you became the training manager. And the reason I say is I've got some people on this call here that just give and give. And I call it the curse sometimes because it's you know, what is it about a person that wants to help others and develop others? It's not about patting themselves on the back, making themselves feel better, but there's something, and of course, to many times it's to the detriment of themselves because they're either doing trainings that are helping or they're mentoring, but they get obviously a wonderful personal satisfaction out. So maybe they can't take the extra additional time that they were able to do other deals or whatever. Did you find yourself, and of course, once you get older and you're able to do it, you understand that these create relationships will then create other deals and other businesses and things like that. But when you were young and you became this training manager, did you find that you're this young whippersnapper, but you're doing the training manager, but then you've got these agents that are probably making at that time 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times as much money as you might have been at the beginning? How did that work?
Well, there's a couple of things. There's a difference between caregiving and caretaking. Caregiving is you want to care for another person. You want to care for husbands and wives and children. You want to care for them. It's your responsibility in a lot of cases to do it. Caretaking is when you start sacrificing your own personal well-being for somebody else. And at that point, that's probably unhealthy. It's called codependency. And I have that. So that would be, you know, one of my challenges to get out of that. And in terms of training, I guess I could say I wanted to give to the real estate industry. And there was part of that, but I want to answer the question. Honestly, it was an ego trip for me.
Okay.
So honestly, when you get in front of an audience and people applaud, they come up and they tell you how good you were, they like the videos and they like the training, that feels good. So it's very selfish. I do it because I like to do it. Now, again, it feels good when people come back and say, you know, when I was making 20 grand a year, I watched some of your videos and I'm making 100 grand a year. It feels good to know that what I say, even though I got personal satisfaction out of it, somebody else learned something, you know, and I'm happy to tell people that I'm a recovering alcoholic. I quit drinking when I was, I don't know, 28. And I've had, when people say, you know, isn't that a risk? And I go, if they don't like it, I guess I don't care. Because I've had more people come up to me and say they're sober today and they quit drinking and saved their marriage because I had the courage to tell them about it. And everybody on this Zoom, everybody's dealing with some kind of addiction. Maybe it could be alcohol, food, drugs, and we can go down the list of all those things. So to the degree I can help people free themselves from dysfunctional behavior on a personal level, it helps them professionally. But I will be real honest, when I get in front of a crowd of 1,000 or 2 or 4,000 or 20, it feels good. I like it.
Gotcha. No, and you shine then. I've seen you in these, especially when you've been a keynote speaker, some of the larger real estate conferences and whatnot. So before we get into the next question, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about David today, because I mean, besides, you know, doing all these things and now having gone across all the continents, or at least 4 continents, et cetera. I mean, you're an avid, I know you're an avid cyclist, I believe, or used to be.
Motorcyclists and
Motorcyclist,
cars.
right?
Yep, I
Motorcycles
raced
and cars.
cars for years, yeah.
And didn't you also, did you do triathlons, or did you do something like that for a while back in the day?
No, my triathlon is walking from here to get the coffee.
Okay, I don't know where I messed up on
No,
that.
in fact, my trainer says, David, we want you to do more cardio. So he wants me to do 30 minutes on the treadmill. I get to 15 and really, is that enough? No, you got to go 30. Strength, I do weightlifting, and I worked out with my trainer, NE, this morning. So I'll do 3 days a week with trainer. But no, I rode motorcycles forever. I raced them, and you know, where you're dragging your knee around a corner at 130 miles an hour. That's pretty exciting. And I race cars. I raced against Paul Newman back in the 80s. I was an instructor for the Porsche Club, and I've been racetracks. The new car I have, I don't know, the track 35 times. So that's my passion, speed.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. So let's get back to the industry. And is there anything else you want to share before I interrupted you?
No, and nobody wants to know about me because your focus today is, each of you have your own self-interest in terms of improving your own business and your own career. And to the degree that one of my experiences can help you, I'm happy to share that. But I really want to focus on all of you and what do you need to have a really good 2024? And as a way of kicking that off, I've been 50 years in the business. I've seen every good market, bad market, sideways, up, down, left. I've seen everything. And the two consistent things that all of you can hang your hat on. Number one is people still move. And you all have to look and ask yourself the question, do I believe that people still buy and sell real estate? And if you don't believe that, then it's time to get out and go sell boats or anything else. Now, we're not selling 6 million homes a year. We're down to 4 million. So that's a 30% that's a massive reduction. And that's what you're all feeling like. What is this, the day the earth stood still? What's going on? So no question about it, we're down, but the other 4 million people are still moving. And who cares about the 4 million? All you care about is who's moving in your market. So you guys can do the stats on that. And something like 85% of them will use a realtor. So you go, okay, people are moving. They're still going to use my services. And then the other thing to remind everybody is that every transaction that any of you have had, you can all think about your last 3 listings. I would say this. There was a conversation that you had with that person that preceded the transaction. So the answer is, how do I make more money? Is have more conversations. So measure your day by how many people did you talk to? And if the answer is 0, then, well, you weren't in the business today. So conversations lead to transactions.
David, probably everyone on this call, or most of them, have heard me say this before, and I do quote you many times. I think the other piece is, and you've been saying it as long as I've ever heard you, is sometimes you don't even have to be good, but you just have to be there.
Got to be there. Absolutely.
And I think that goes back to what you're saying with more conversations. And so, the more conversations you have, it is a numbers game. It really is a probability and numbers game. And so I use that. And again, as I said, probably everyone on this call has heard me say that one time or another. Let me ask you this, though. I would like to get to one of these questions because I think, you've got 50 years in the industry. And I think we've got a lot of agents that have been in this business 20 years. Some have been nearly there as long as I have, say 30 years. What do you think is, over your 50 years, what was the most significant thing that's really been that you've seen this industry, whether it was, from a technology perspective or whether it was from a market, change like 2008? What do you think what really has been significant that's impacted the industry the most?
Well, I mean, you have to lead with technology, and technology was obviously two sides to it. The good side was it speeded everything along and made us more efficient, and so thankful for all the high tech tools that we now have to use. Are wonderful, and how many things you can do mobile. Everybody knows the benefit of it. The downsides of technology, it has separated us from people. We have more ways to connect, but we connect less. And technology is no longer your point of difference. Nobody doesn't have it. All your competitors have it. Nobody doesn't. So then you go, well, what the heck is my point of difference? Better technology? No, because even if you get it, it's out of date the day you get it. And I believe, and maybe this is a bit old school, but I really believe that your point of difference in a technological world is relationships, connecting with people, having a party at your office, have a barbecue on a Saturday and cook up a bunch of fun food and invite everybody out there and have them bring their kids and meet people face to face, get on the phone and call people, see how they're doing. Have a call and say, hey, we've had a lot of changes in the real estate industry this year. Have you guys heard of any of them? And they might go, no, what happened? Or, yeah, we heard about this lawsuit. I don't have to pay a buyer agent anymore. Would you like to hear more about that? Yeah, we can talk now, or I can come over to your home. But just having those phone calls and letting people know that you're alive and well, and absolutely commit to your hour of power every day, and just suck it up, time block it, get a cup of coffee and a computer, a legal pad, and take a breath and go, okay, for the next hour and no more, I'm going to get on the phone and do outbound calls.
Love it. I think for those that have been in this business forever, and I think maybe I'd love a follow-up on that. I think the big difference in our world today versus say 25 years ago in the industry was that, as realtors, we held all the data. We had all the data. So the customer had to kind of contact us. We had to kind of show the way. Other than newspaper ads or signs and things like that, they just didn't have the ability to see that. I think my question to you, David, would be is like, how did you change? Because I mean, to this day, we have people, literally buyers, that will call and say, I want to look at this house. I've seen all the pictures. I want to make an offer on it. And it's that. So that's great, right? But at the end of the day, and it's so different than the world we lived in,
Yeah.
a quarter century ago.
Well, I think the good news is that the customers have all the data. The bad news is they have all the data. They've got so
Right.
much they can't sort through it.
Right.
And if you're the kind of buyer, the specific neighborhood, you know the homes, you've been there, you want to live there, something comes up, you go, ooh, I know that home. Bam, bam, bam. I just want to buy it. There's not a lot of counseling that goes into it.
Yes.
But at some point you go online, you look at this, you look at that, you look at this, and go, oh, for gosh sakes, I'm getting a headache looking at all these things,
Mhm.
especially out of town buyers. At some point, and again, in my interview with Steve Murray, he said that one of the number one things buyers want is for us to sift through all the data. Yeah, they're going to get on, but how many times I've gone times where I get on, I'm looking at flights. I want to fly someplace, and I can go to delta.com and I can do all these searches, and I go, wait a minute, and sometimes I just want to call Delta. I want to talk to a person. So a lot of my bookings are online. So, okay, if I do this flight, what's this? And what are the options? And if I go on this day, when can I take a dog? There's a lot of things where I want some involvement. And if I'm going to do a big trip, I'll probably talk to a travel agent and have them organize that. And I haven't done that in a while because I am the kind of guy I can go online and book a flight and be done with it. But even then, I'll call the travel agent. So I think when you talk to a buyer, say, you can go in, you can take a look at the 11,342 homes that are on the market. But if you want a subjective view of how the homes feel and how the neighborhood feels and how it matches what you're looking for in a home, that's something where you need a counselor. You can go on WebMD and type in the symptoms you have, and then you go, is it sciatica? Is it this? Is it that? And you go, I think I need a doctor to sort through that. You could go in and do a search on drugs, and they'll give you 15 drugs to take. And then you go, I think I want somebody to help me through this.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think, buyers need help. And then negotiate. And then the real part of it, in fact, if you take a look at KFT 159, I think the last one, a lot of agents think that all we do is show a home and they don't want to pay our commission. When I might say, look, I'll charge $150 to show the home. Okay, you're right. Showing you home, driving over, meeting you home, open the door, letting you in. No, that's not a big part of my business. But the second you say you like it and you want to buy it, now you need me. Because what are you going to offer? What's the homework? How do you want to structure the purchase agreement? What information do you want in terms of the market and the property and the data? Then who's going to handle the mortgage and the title and the appraisal and the this and the that and coordinate all that stuff? You want to do that all on your own? Have at it. I'll show you the home for $100. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll show it to you for free. That's not how we get paid. When you decide to buy the home, now you need the agent.
And I think that's important. I think that's why I kind of asked and kind of pivoted to say what it was, prior, because I think you said the key word earlier was relationships. And I think, there have been so many models that have tried to get away from the relationships of just being transactional. And what we've seen time and time again, it's not that those models don't work, but they don't scale and work and they don't have the repeat business that the relationships really drive through the referrals. And when you really look at
Yep.
and sorry, go. And I think
No,
that's what
I'm
we're
agreeing with
looking
you.
for from you. And I think we need to all, it's really easy. Like I'm very anti-buying leads. I'm just not a fan of it. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can build relationships, sure, and you can get that. But I look and say, your spirit is right in front of you. It's when your social media, it's in your neighbors, it's whatever. And I think that's it. And I hate the old saying, getting back to basics. Maybe that's old guys like us that kind of say that because we want to do it. But the people that I see doing that, especially here in our organization, are the ones that are really excelling. And it's getting back to I need to, contact all my people in my neighborhood. I need to contact all my friends. I need to build private Facebook groups. I need to have a client appreciation parties, whatever it might be. It's back to the basics.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people who don't like back the basics is because they're looking for the fast, short term, type something on Facebook and then get a lead out of it, and they don't want to do the hard work. And everybody's looking for the easy way, the path of least resistance. They want to, they want to get better in the gym. They don't want to go to the gym, but they want to be healthy. And
Right.
that's pretty much human nature. All of us would love, to have everything we want in life without working for it. We'd all love that. I mean, that's called socialism.
Sure.
That's why that's become popular in the younger generations. They think, how can I get something without working for it? Yeah, socialism. Yeah, that's the ticket. I was talking to my trainer today. Um, and I was telling him about a woman I know, young woman, and she said, I resent the fact that I have to work 25 hours or more to support myself. And he shook his head. He said, that's what these millennials think. They think that we should just cut them a check. And he said, I'm glad. And I said, how did you avoid that? How did you not get caught in that? And he said, David, I'm black. He said, I knew I had to support myself. So we knew we had to do. We didn't have, that was his view. So for him, it was more racial, that he knew he had to take care of himself. And he runs 2 businesses that he got in real estate. He's got 3 properties that he's renting out. And he still does personal
Good for
training.
him.
And he's 28. And I think, the guy's going to be a multimillionaire. And I went, it was fun to hear how he escaped the millennial curse. He says, I am a millennial. He says, but I'm working for my life. And I said, good for you.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, I have 3 of my spawn, my children, and they're all, millennials. I guess one's a Gen Z, but it's really millennial, or and 2 have that mindset, and then 1 is very entitled, like, this is too hard. We shouldn't be, it's not fair, and et cetera, et cetera. Drives me crazy. I love them, but I want to smack them sometimes for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's pivot. Let's get straight in. I want to talk a little bit about state of the industry. I mean, everyone's talking about his commission lawsuits. I mean, kind of our communication to our team has been, we've got to get better at making sure that we're documenting the value that we're giving, that we've got it in writing, we're showing, whether it's video that we're giving to them or whatever. But give me an overview, your view from, and maybe it's even just a summary of your videos as well. And then we can really kind of push that everyone on this call goes back and takes the time to watch those videos if they haven't.
Sure. Maybe the bottom line, I'll just say it's not going to affect how you do your business, other than you need to be more transparent with your commission rates and tell everybody the negotiable, explain everything, and just say, here's what's going on. When you're sitting down with a buyer or seller, I'd probably start off and say, by the way, did you guys hear about the commission lawsuits? Most of them will go, no, what are you talking about? And you say, let me tell you what happened. And here's what came out of that. And the benefit to the consumer is we need to be more transparent with all of you. So it's good for consumers. We are in agreement. And so we absolutely support that. And here at Home Pros, we abide by, whatever the findings are of those lawsuits. And we want to present those to you because we absolutely believe, we don't agree with the lawsuit per se, the accusations we don't feel were accurate, but it did touch on some things, some mistakes that we got to make sure not to make. But to all of you, once you are comfortable understanding what you need to do as a result of them, you're going to have a competitive edge because you can just go about your business and do what you need to do. While everybody else is going, oh, the sky's falling, and they're going to be all worried about it, scared, and everybody else, there's really nothing at all to be afraid of, but you flat out better be really clear on what you can and cannot do. And that's why we did these 5 videos. And Frank, if I were you, I would absolutely require that every one of your agents watch all 5 videos if they want to stay licensed with you.
Yeah. Great
Seriously,
point.
I would make it as it's a condition. If you want to keep working for Home Pros, I want you to watch all 5, and I'm going to go into the back end and make sure you watch them. And I might even call you up and test you on one of them. It's critical because now we're not talking about, oh, these are nice videos, you should go watch them. This is like you're going to jail if you make a mistake. Jail's a little extreme, but you get a lot. You want to get sued? No, because they'll sue the broker. So you get Frank in trouble. So
Right.
now let me see. I wonder if you might have to you're going to have to make me a co-host. I'll share it, screen
I can
share.
just make you can share. Go ahead. You're good.
But bottom line, there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, you've just got to be aware of the findings and operate your business that way. It's going to make you a better agent, and it's going to make you more valuable to your consumers, because the other agents come in and they go, well, I don't really know. And meanwhile, you go, well, I know, I'll tell you. So, so this is your site. And when you log in, you can always watch our video called What's New. And it's a short video typically describing what's new. And by the way, if you want some fun, if any of you are kind of geary, it's the What's New for December I shot in my car. I was going up in my car that I race, and I was driving up Highway 74 in Southern California. And, I do a fast ride up, and then I stop so you can hear, and I talk about what's new. And then at the end, I do 2 or 3 4-minute fast ride down the hill. So if anybody, likes fast cars, go watch that one. But the 5 videos are Knoxville City number 159, parts 1 through 5. And the first one's a just short one, says, hey, here's what the commission lawsuit was about. Number two, here are the 6 things you got to start doing. And if you don't do these, you're going to get sued or lose your license. Number 3 is, what do you say to your sellers? Because the sellers have now heard that they don't have to pay the buyer agent commission. The answer is they don't, but they should. So how do you encourage them to offer buyer agent compensation without violating what the lawsuit was about? And number 4 and 5, if you're going to work with buyers, you need to know these. So how do you present the commission lawsuits in the value to your buyers? Because now we're in a position where the buyers may have to pay for their own commission. And when a buyer says, you mean I got to come up with 12 grand and pay you to show me the house? And this is where you say, well, no, showing the house is only going to cost you, $150, and I'm making numbers up. But if you want me to represent you throughout the whole transaction, yes, you'd need to pay my fee. And then you explain how maybe the seller will cover it, maybe they won't. Maybe you do it as a term of the sale. And then at the end, commission lawsuits, buyer broker agreement. I go through buyer broker agreements and how they should be structured. We also have a video called 8 Steps to Buying a Home. And it's a consumer video. It's a separate video account for agents. It's $20 a month per agent. And by the way, Frank, if you had 10 or more agents that wanted to sign up, we do a group rate. But these are videos that you've subscribed to and you email or text them to your clients. And in the buyer agent video, 8 Steps to Buying a Home video, I teach the buyers that they should sign a buyer agent agreement, work with one broker or one agent. And I also talk about, you might have to pay the commission to the buyer agent. We knew these lawsuits were coming up when we shot that video. So if I were to go to our PowerPoint, I'm going to skip ahead past business planning. Here are the 3 major things in the lawsuit. Number 1, the plaintiff's charges were, number 1, the NAR's clear cooperation policy, which requires listings to be in the MLS within 24 hours if you want to expose them to the public. But in that, it did not require compensation. It was not about compensation. However, the CCP does, as you all know, I think you do, in your MLS posting, you do need to put something in the blank. What are you paying out to the buyer agent? Well, the lawsuit claimed that they felt that was coercive, that like, oh gosh, if we don't put something in there, it's going to be anti-competitive. And the sellers felt that it put pressure on them to pay high commission to attract buyers, brokers. And the answer is it's true. If you're not going to pay a buyer agent to bring a buyer, they may not. Number 2, they said it lacks seller benefit. If I'm paying out X% to a buyer agent, what good does that do me? And I think it does them a lot of good, but they didn't like it. And then number 3 was they didn't believe that commission was negotiable, and specifically the commission paid out to a buyer agent. I don't know how they wouldn't know it was negotiable, but I think the claims were kind of stupid, and whatever lawyers we had clearly weren't very good. That should have never, ever been lost, but they did. Now there's more coming up. So here are 6 things that all of you absolutely need to know and memorize and be very clear of. Number 1, you cannot ever tell a buyer that the commission is free if it's included in the sale price and the sellers are paying it. It's axiomatic. The buyers are paying for it because it's in the sale price. Now, if you're going to work only with the buyer and you're going to give away your commission for free, that's different, but that's unlikely. Don't do that. Number 2, you cannot select homes to show your buyers based on compensation. And I think most of the MLSs have now done it, so you can't do it that way. You must clearly state to your clients, and a client being either a buyer or a seller, that commissions are negotiable between the brokerage and the client. They've always been negotiable, but the lawsuit claims that they were not. But make it very, very clear, Mr. Seller, our commissions are negotiable. Does that mean you're going to come down? No. But it just means that the agreement is between you and me, not set by anybody outside of us. Number 4, disclosing to the sellers the offering a buyer agent commission is optional. So if a seller says, hey, I heard I don't have to pay out any compensation to the buyer agent, is that true? You said 100% true. You don't have to do that. You really never did. And you don't have to now. But in a few minutes, I'm going to explain to you some of the benefits of paying it out. Number 5, full transparency about the commission. Your fees, don't be hiding them in small print. You let them know what it is. And I don't know if buyer broker agreements are required in Texas. Are they, Frank? If they are, then we got number 6 covered. But so number 6, each one of you, when you work with a buyer, you have a buyer agent, buyer broker agreement, period, end of story, just do it. And Frank, I'll defer to you and your legal counsels as to when that should be signed, because there's a lot of debate over when you should do it. Most people do agree that before you show the first home. However, if they come to an open house, you basically showed them a home without a buyer agent. So I'm going to let you deal with the legal side of it. But one of the problems of this whole lawsuit thing is, should buyers be represented or should buyers beware? In 1983, buyers thought they were being represented when in fact they were not. I've been in the business 50 years, Frank. I think buyer agency came about when you got in the business, didn't you? Maybe it was longer ago than that, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah, because actually when I got in the business, people started moving towards not representing and going again, where it's kind of transactional and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, when I got in the business, every agent was a sub-agent to the listing agent. There was no such thing as buyer representation.
Right.
And we as an industry screwed up and we'd say, oh, it's my buyers. Well, wait a minute. They're not your buyers. They're customers. They're not clients. You are not representing their interests. 71% of buyers thought they were being represented. So the FTC comes along and says, no, that's not right. Buyers and sellers should each have their own representation. It was pro-consumer. It was good. It was positive. It's wonderful. I agreed with it. I was on the St. Paul Association of Realtors committee when we did it. I said, yay, let's do that. And now they're trying to destroy it, which, well, that's kind of the unintended consequence. So, yes, you can tell a seller offering it is optional, but you need to define the benefits of offering buyer agent conversation without sounding threatening. So number one thing that I would say to a seller is, Mr. Seller, it's true. You do not have to pay out compensation to a buyer agent. But just let me tell you, we have 11,400 agents in our MLS. They're all really able to, bring a buyer to your home. And the more buyers we have, the faster you sell your home, because, 85% of our transactions in El Paso are not from us, the listing company. It's from co-op brokers. And you guys should get the exact number on that. What percentage of Home Pros listings and what percentage of in the association. Number two, offering buyer agent compensation rewards the group of agents for, bringing buyers and drafting a purchase agreement. Number three, buyers need funds. By the time they do their down payment closing costs, they may not have anything left for compensation to their agents. So they may make their purchase decisions based on how they can get that covered. Number four is probably one of my best techniques. I've added this. And when you're discussing compensation with a seller, you can say, I'm just curious, Mr. and Ms. Seller, when you bought this home, was the buyer agent fee covered? And the answer right now is going to be 100% yes, because this is the way we've been doing business for 50 years now. And they go, yeah, it was. And they say, well, let me ask you this. If we were operating in today's rules where you had to pay, what would you have done? Oh, we wouldn't have had any money to do it. Okay, then what would you have done? Well, I don't know. We may not have looked at homes if they didn't offer it. Well, there you go. Number five, you can tell your sellers that if you don't offer it, that it is possible. Number one, the buyers may choose another home to look at, or they may choose yours, but they will ask for a cash concession equal to what they would have paid their buyer agent. So just so you know, that could happen. And number six, and this is important, and Frank and all of you, this, when you do your role plays, and by the way, would you please, I'm begging you guys to do role plays on this. It just kills me that I don't like role playing. I just don't care. But you can say, Mr. Seller, have you heard about the lawsuits? And you say, yes, I've heard about them. And you tell, here's what they said, and here's some of the things that we agree with. We agree that we need to be transparent on our commissions and how we pay. And by the way, one of the things in the lawsuit said, you don't have to pay buyer agent compensation. But let me tell you how I and how Home Pros works. Our fee is X%. That's what we charge. And within that fee, I make a decision of how to invest that. I invested in photography, I invested in marketing, I invested in websites, I do staging, I do this. And I also, because I know there's an 85% chance that one of our friendly co-op brokers are going to bring a buyer, I am going to choose to give a portion of that to a buyer agent. Are you comfortable with that? And if they say, yeah, it sounds good to us. Okay, great. Let's get going. You don't have to talk about the lawsuits anymore. You're done. They just agreed to pay out a buyer compensation. And then if they say for some reason we don't want to pay it out, I may say, tell me why. Well, because we want to save the money. Well, just so you know, I'm still going to charge you our full commission. So you don't really save anything. What? Yeah, because If you don't want to pay out a co-op broker, then we won't put it on MLS. And the only people that can show it are me or the other Home Pros agents, which limits your pool even more. But if I'm the one that brings the buyer, now I got to work on the buyer side, and I don't do that for free. So if I'm representing both you and the buyer, then you can't represent both, but it becomes a transaction. I still need to get paid for handling the buyer. So somebody's going to get paid for representing the buyer. And I would ask all of you, given an equal commission, who would you rather represent, a seller or a buyer? Go ahead, tell me what. Given the choice, same fee, would you rather represent a seller or a buyer?
Seller.
Seller? Who said that? Wave across the
Jose
screen.
Hernandez.
Huh? Go ahead, unmute and say it again.
Seller. Jose
Yeah.
Hernandez.
Okay, and why would you rather represent a seller and not a buyer?
Because in a multi-offer situation, the agent that's always winning is the listing agent.
Okay, good. Here's my assignment to you, and I think I have an assignment in one of the videos. Number 5, because you need to build your buyer listing presentation. None of you have that right now, I'm gonna guess, probably 0. So you need to go build it. And I've given you some ideas on how to build it. But I would ask you the question, why would you not want to work with a buyer for the same fee? And you'll have answers like, oh my gosh, I write an offer, it may not go through, and I got to work with them, I got to show more homes, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and then I have to arrange for a fine, then I got to be available, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. And you come up with this long list of why you would never want to work with a buyer, which is, this is your buyer presentation. This is all the stuff I do, and this is why I ain't doing this for free ever. This is what I charge. That's how you come up with your buyer agent presentation. And my suggestion to you is all of you write down all those challenges you have with buyers, all the services that you give to buyers, put them all together. Maybe you submit them to Frank, then some of you put it in a Google Doc. Maybe that's what you do, a Google Doc. And everybody starts typing in all the stuff you do. And when you're done, then you sort it by category, and you can use the categories from our outline. And you come up with your buyer listing presentation. And then I want to show you, I've got some documents that you all can use. Have I really opened that many documents since then? Oh, come on, that's crazy. Well, okay, I'll have to do it this way. I've got some downloadable documents, and Frank, I want you to know about these because I'd kind of like you to look at them before your agents actually use them. But if you go to KFT 159, any one of them, doesn't matter. We have these documents. We have the outline, and I think you'll like the outline because when you open that up, it's basically a transcript of all 5 videos. And anytime you see text in blue, this is an exact transcript of our guest speakers. So for those of you who prefer to read rather than listen, you can do that. And this is talk about Australia. Everybody says, Mike, down in Australia, they only charge 3%. Well, yeah, they do. But then when you add everything up and the buyer side of it, you're pretty much equal to the US. And then we have a commission explanation for buyers, one for sellers. We have the benefits of buyer representation. I'll just open up that document, and they're all in Word, so you can edit them. So here it's in Word. So page number 1 is to be deleted. So when you open this up, you can take page number 1, delete it. And then starting on page number 2, you can put in your own logo. And this is, I put in there the introduction, the explanation, the lawsuits. I define the difference between a client and a customer. I talk about agent compensation, basically say, hey, agents do a lot and they're going to get paid. And then overview of a buyer agent agreement. And this goes through all the benefits of working with a realtor. And so this is a structure that you can use to organize your presentation. And then while I'm here, this is the stuff, Frank, I really want you to look at. The commission explanation for buyers and for sellers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so David, my business partner, is actually our broker of record and founder. So I'll have Penny take a look at these because, in fact, she's reviewing the commission, all the videos as well. And but we'll have her take a look at these because these are fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure.
So right here, please have this reviewed by broker and legal. And then this is a simple 1-page this is what you can say to, now, you could print it out and give it to a seller. You could make it part of your listing presentation. I would not put it in a pre-listing package. I don't want them to have access to this until you're sitting across the table from them. And then you could use it verbally if you'd like, or print it out and say, you know, Mr. Seller, have you heard about the commission lawsuits? What have you heard? Okay, let me just take you through some of the elements of it. You know, hopefully these documents will help you structure it. And I'll say one other thing, and this is, and I address it in one of the videos, I can't remember which one. One of the reasons that the public thinks we're not negotiable is because good agents are firm in their fees. So competence isn't coercion. So in other words, I say to a seller, our fees are negotiable. I charge X. Hey, would you come down? Nope, I stick with X. Well, wait a minute, you just said you were negotiable. The definition of negotiability does not require me to cut from our stated schedule. Negotiability means that my fee is set between you and me only. There's nobody else on the planet Earth that sets them. In other words, right now, if you say you don't want to pay my fee, my answer to you is, okay, you don't have to. You can find another agent who charges less. But these fees are between you and me. It wasn't set by NAR. It's not set by, now it's okay to be set by Frank, the broker. That's okay. Brokers can set the fee. That's cool. So just remember, negotiability doesn't deprive you of having a commission schedule. So
That's great, David. Any questions, or did you have something else to say, David?
yeah, questions on anything. Anything you got. I love hearing questions. It helps me kind of understand what's going on in the market.
I have a quick question, and then while other people maybe can start thinking, probably besides the commission lawsuits, probably one of the other biggest questions I get from people, and I think because that many of them know my past and kind of what I used to do is NAR. I mean, we just had another, I don't want to call it a scandal, but I'm here now that we've, it's just one more thing to add to the list of all things. What is your take on that? Because I mean, obviously, David, you and I know plenty of people that think that NAR is disintermediated the broker and we don't need NAR anymore. And a lot of the big brokers are pounding their chest, and we've seen Redfin already make a move. And there's some other people that are, we saw that Anywhere and Remax say, hey, we're not going to require people to be NAR members anymore, which probably is not going to really work out too well for them. But anyway, what is your thoughts on all of that? If you don't want to say anything about it, because I know you've got customers, anything, but I'd love to get your take on that, because that's a question I get asked all the time.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's start with the number one thing that NAR does. Their number one primary responsibility, and that is to represent us as a lobbyist in Congress, in Washington.
Yes.
That's the number one thing they're supposed to do. And so if you agree that we need, sadly, it's too bad, so we need protection against what the government does to us. My biggest problem in my business has never been of my competitor. It's always been the government, subprime lending and lockdowns and low interest rates and high interest rates. So I think you've got to take a look at what it is that NAR does and see if you agree with some of the stuff they do. And I would also say that a lot of the challenges they faced lately maybe are more personal in nature in terms of the people they had running it. So I think you got to take a look at their charter. I guess in general, it's nice to have a body that represents us. But like, I think a lot of people, I've heard people say, I don't like paying taxes, but what I really don't like is paying and having it wasted. And I think most people would agree, I wouldn't mind paying more taxes if you quit wasting it. And I think with NAR, if we felt that they were doing the right thing and representing us, fine. So that's kind of a personal decision on your part. In general, I'd probably say if they're doing their job, it's good to have somebody represent us.
Yes. Okay. That's a great answer. I think that's kind of usually my answer as well, is what would the world look like without them?
Yeah. And then I think it's nice to have a body that has a standard code of ethics and certain rules that everybody follows, rather than going into anarchy and everybody doing whatever they want to do. So I guess the legislative stuff they do, certainly the code of ethics. I mean, even the agents in NAR, half of them should just leave. So imagine the ones that aren't. You think the ones at NAR are bad. Imagine the ones that have no code of ethics, no nothing.
Sure.
And I wish half of them would leave, because I think it is the incompetent, untrained agents that got us into this lawsuit. That's my belief.
Great. All right, guys. Well, thank you for that, David. Who's got a question for David? I cannot believe we got David Knox on here and we don't have any questions. Any questions? I'm looking for Alberto or
Yeah.
Julia. I got my question people ask all the time. And Alberto, you gonna ask a question?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Now I can't hear you. You had the same problem yesterday.
We could try to read it. You could type it in chat too. We can't hear you. Alberto.
Yeah.
I can't
Alberto-
believe if you're realtors, you probably shouldn't be shy. So
Any other questions, guys?
maybe
Hey
I'll ask
Frank,
them.
this is Jose Hernandez. Quick question. I'm all starstruck, gotta be honest.
Oh,
Me too.
Question. What would you say, Mr. Knox, if you pick up a buyer, right? They're looking to buy a $500,000 house. They're interviewing agents and they ask you how much of a rebate would you give them? What would Mr. Knox say?
I'm going to jump to the end of that. The answer is I'll give them nothing, but I don't want to start with that. So if I say, if a buyer, I feel like, let's role play, turn on the camera, I'll role play with you.
My
Because I've
Zoom
got-
is disabled for camera.
Okay.
Yes, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
hiding everybody that,
No,
but there you are, Jose. I'm going to move your screen up so I can at least look at you.
He's a
So-
real person.
Yeah, Jose, you're my buyer. And so Jose, I understand you're interviewing real estate agents to represent you as a buyer. Is that what you're saying to me?
correct. Yes, sir.
You know what? I'm so happy you're doing that. And I think the purchase of a home is such a major decision that you need to be comfortable with your agent as you would with your doctor, your lawyer, your accountant. And I think, first of all, I commend you for doing the interviews. And by the way, I'm honored to be one of the ones you're interviewing. So what would you like to ask me?
Yes, sir. So, we're just interviewing agents, and we have interviewed 5 different agents, and we're looking for someone that's competent, within the area, the 79911, the Upper Valley, and my main question is would you be willing to give us a rebate, the sale of the home, upon closing? Would you be willing to do that?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Why is that important to you, Jose?
We're just trying to save money. We're just trying to save money.
Okay, tell me a little bit how that savings would work for you, just so I kind of understand the math on it.
Most definitely. So we are using conventional financing. We're putting 25% down, and we're just trying to gather as much. We're just trying to recoup as much as possible.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Let me ask you this: have you narrowed it down to agents that you would consider right now?
Yes, actually, there is an agent that said that they would give us back $7,500, and that's what we're trying to match. We would love to work with you,
Yep.
but if you can't give $7,500, we really would choose to go a different direction, as
Okay.
we're trying to recoup as much as possible.
But let me ask you this, Jose. And by the way, I appreciate you asking the question. I actually do understand why you ask it, and it's But if our fees were the same, who would you want to have represent you?
You,
Why?
I would choose to work with you. Why? Because of your competence and your knowledge.
Oh, good. And how do you think you'd benefit from my competence and knowledge?
I know that we would have someone that would go to fight for us.
Okay. And how might that affect what you pay for a home?
I'm not sure about that, but I know that we're trying to recoup as much as possible.
Well, it sounds to me like, all things being equal, you'd prefer to work with me. Thank you very much. And I think you've got to decide the value of knowledge and competence and how that will help you in terms of negotiating the right price for the property and making sure the transaction is handled well all the way to the closing. And if you decide to work with me, I welcome your business. So I guess to get to your original question, do I do a rebate? No, I don't do that. I put a lot of work into helping buyers today. It's incredibly time consuming. And then either I have or I haven't. I would have taken through a presentation. I say, before we do a final, let me tell you what we do for buyers. Now you go through your buyer agent presentation, and this is why you got to do this and have a presentation. So Jose, these are all the things that I do for buyer. We do this, we do that, we do this. And, we've had buyers that they make one mistake and pay, 10 or 20 grand too much for a house, the 5,500 really doesn't matter much. So I guess I'm going to put it back to you, Jose. And, if you choose to work with the other agent, you're going to break my heart, but you're the consumer and you have a right to make that choice. So let me know what you'd like to do.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Appreciate you.
And the other thing that I might do is say, look, Jose, here's what I will do for you. If we work together and we find a home and that works, here's what I'm going to do. What's your favorite restaurant, hotel, or something? And I say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you and your bride or whomever. I'm going to say, I'm going to send you guys to a weekend for two at this resort or hotel, whatever, something like that. Because I think they need to feel like they won something. And so you could do that. I've always commission objections to sellers. You know, they say, well, we're going to buy one home and sell another one. Would you cut your fee? And they say no in the nicest way you want. And they say, here's what I do, because I really, really respect your business, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you to the Andalus Hotel for 2 nights and this and that. And so that's another way to do it. But I hope you heard the key. Anybody pick up on the absolute number one key thing in that role play that all of you need to memorize, learn, and do? Anybody could unmute yourself and see if you can tell me what the one critical thing was I did. Brenda looks like she's reaching for the mute button. All right, Brenda, talk to me.
Yes, you have to let them know what value you're bringing to the deal.
You are correct. I did that, but that wasn't the most critical thing that I want you to remember. That I'm not discounting what you said, but there was something that else.
You put it on them. You made him tell you why it was important.
Yes. And how did I do that?
That's the right
You
questions.
ask him, yeah, you ask the right questions, and you ask him specifically, tell me what you're looking for. Tell me about why that's important to you.
Yeah. The question that led to that was, and this is the best values-based question I have ever taught in my life, and it works in every industry, cars. My ex-wife was selling Cambria quartz countertops, and when somebody ever gives you a price objection, you just say, let me ask you this. You know, if our fees were the same, who would you use today? And if they say the other agent, you're done, and just say, oh, well, sounds like you got an agent you prefer. Thanks for your time and great to know you. I wish you the best. See ya. But when Jose role played and he came back and said, well, I'd use you. Oh, well, good. Well, at least he likes you best. And then I go, why? What is it you like about that? And we do some more questioning. But had Jose said, well, I like the other agent better. Well, then we're done. But if he likes me better, then it's up to him. And then why? And he lists all the values. So even if I don't get him as a buyer, at least he had to admit I'm the better agent. So I won that. I didn't get him as a buyer, but I got him to tell me I was a better agent. Sometimes that's all you get.
David, I have a question, and I think Alberto had a question too. I've got a question on text, but let me ask this first, Alberto. Then I'll give you. David, are you okay on time though? If we are past the 10 o'clock mark.
No, I'm okay. The other Zoom might be moved. So
okay. Alberto, I'm going to mute you because we're getting feedback from you for whatever reason.
Yeah, here's the feedback.
So one of our Martha Aguayo, who's one of our agents, she's also on the board of directors for our local association here for GEPAR, and she's also been very involved in the education committee and among many other things that she's involved with. I don't know how she does it all. The first thing
she, I want to try to find her on the Zoom. What's her name? And
Martha Aguayo. She can't get her.
Oh, there's Martha. Oh, good. Hey, Martha. Oh, good.
She cannot unmute for some reason. And but so the first thing she asked is would you consider coming to speak at Realtor Day in September? And of course, if you're, I told her, I'm assuming that, if they can, your schedule works.
Live events. Absolutely happy to do that.
So I'll put you two together and y'all could talk about that. I already know some of your fees and stuff, but you can talk to them directly. And then I think her big question was,
chat. I put it in the chat, Martha, my email and phone number. Yep. Go ahead, Frank.
Her next question is what about if we change commission to a service fee? What are your thoughts on that?
You mean kind of like a menu of services?
I assume that's what she's talking
Martha,
about.
go ahead, unmute. Let's chat about it.
She can't unmute. That's her problem. That's why she's texting me.
But not a menu of service, but a service.
Well, she's asking. So
hello. Hi, Frank.
Go.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yes, this week the association, David, we had our annual orientation.
Okay.
And the speaker was Brooke Hunt.
Okay.
Does that name sound familiar to you? No. Okay. Anyway, she mentioned that one of the things we could consider is not using the word commission, but service fee.
Oh,
just like that.
Yeah, you can rename it all you want. Everybody does that. The CIA said eliminate rather than kill. And instead of role playing, I'll often say practice. Instead of prospecting, we'll say lead generation. And we all have it's sad we have to change the names of things to make it more acceptable. It's a commission. You can call it a fee, service fee. Yeah, whatever you're comfortable.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, call it
No,
what you want. There's no rules on what you call it. But I think if you sat down with a seller and say, this is our service fee, they're probably going to say, you mean your commission, right?
okay. I get it. I
So,
get it.
it's cute to do it sometime, but
Okay.
whatever works.
David, and Frank, I cannot access the chat. So if you could please email me, text me David's email address, I would like to put him in contact with the chair of the education committee and with Hilda at Gephardt.
Yeah.
So we can,
Sending it to you now.
What's your phone number, Marcia? I'll just give you a call after this Zoom.
okay, 915-204-7017. Thank you, David.
Thank you. I saved that. Good. Yeah, it'd be a pleasure to speak at that. That would be fun. And Marisol said, I like that you didn't fight the commission lawsuits. Instead, you highlighted the Insure Commission transparency. Yeah, why fight it? It happened. Might as well just play into it. But any
Right.
other questions? You guys?
Alberto, you want to, I guess we're getting bad feedback, so I guess we could mute Alberto while you talk.
Well, is Alberto in the same office as you, Frank?
No, he's next door to me, but I'll
Next
mute.
door, that's sometimes enough. So if you can mute Frank and unmute Alberto, try that. Yeah, I can't hear you. Okay, that's weird. Not getting your audio. That might be more of a computer issue. Now, if you're next door, walk into Frank's office.
Yeah, you can walk in next door. Come on in, Alberto. He had the same problem yesterday. He actually presented for us yesterday on one of our trainings, and the first couple minutes he couldn't get his Zoom to work. So I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Well, any other questions, guys, for David before we've already kept him well over an hour? And I'm so grateful, David, that you've taken the time to meet with us.
Happy to do it. I might just close by saying and give you guys an assignment. I think if you want to grow as a realtor, part of what you need to do is to become competent and commit some portion of every morning or whatever to some training. And whether it's, our videos, our average length is 12 minutes. So it's not a big requirement, but still, I know your days are busy and you got to figure out where to put it in. But in your morning hour of power, you're welcome, Denise, is just decide, hey, how much, I'm making coffee while the coffee's brewing, listen to a video, and maybe do that. The KFT 159, part 1 through 5, I'm just going to say, you got to watch it. This is not, if you want to be competent and represent Frank and your clients, then go through and do those. And then the other thing is just decide, maybe after this Zoom and you're done, how about make one phone call to one past client, if you have past clients, and just say hello and thank them for their business. How about that? That's an easy call to make. Call them and say, hey, I'm just calling, just thinking about you, and I just want to say thanks so much for buying from me or listening with me. Easy call to make.
Great advice, David. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you, and we're thrilled to continue with the David Knox real estate training platform. And I think all I can say is we hope to see you here in El Paso soon.
Okay,
Whether
thank you very much.
Gephardt, or maybe it's here at Home Pros one day.
That'd be great. Well, good. Martha, I'm going to give you a call in a few minutes if that's okay, or maybe I'll call you right now. Okay.
So
Thank
David,
you, guys.
David, you're welcome to stay on if you want, but I'll probably let you go. We're going to do what we call Friday Fire real quick, and people are just going to kind of round robin talk about different good things they've got going on. So you're welcome to stay, or you can go.
In that case, Martha, if you're going to stay on, then I don't want to bug you while you're in the meeting. So let me give you ready to write down my number? Wave when you're ready, and I'll let you call me.
I can text it to her, David.
612-590-8955. Okay, talk to you later, and you guys have a great weekend, and thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, guys. I know it's a little late, but if we want to do a quick, does anyone got any fire to share? I mean, that was fire. That's my fire that we had to share. The fact that David Knox was able to jump on, and he's pretty awesome, isn't he? You should see him in front of a group. Like, I mean, he's hilarious. I mean, usually the whole place is just cracking up. He can literally, he has about, you heard him speak kind of as an Australian. I mean, he speaks in about 10 different kind of dialects, and it's fun. He's a lot of fun. So that would be amazing, Martha, if we could get him to come to El Paso. We've certainly been looking at, how we could possibly bring him from Home Pros as well. The fee is very pricey, but we'll see what we can do on that. Questions? Anyone have any comments they want to make on that, or anyone want to share any fire? Come on, man. It's new year, 2024, new year, new you. Who's got something to share? Any new listings, new sales?
Hey,
So
Frank,
I'm gonna.
it's Jose,
Go ahead.
sorry about that. Yeah, so Friday Fire, quick fire. 3 executed contracts within the past couple weeks. I have 2 listing appointments later on this afternoon. I picked up an investor client last week from a past client, and cash buyer. They're from out of country, but they're here. They're real and they're validated, and they're looking to pick up a couple of properties before they fly back out to Taiwan next week. So just keep it moving. Don't give up.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. When you were texting me, I actually mentioned that, I think on a call yesterday, that you were already having some great success, Jose. So that's awesome. And, thanks for role playing, by the way. You did a great job, David. I mean, that was fantastic.
No worries.
Yeah. So
Yes,
I know
sir.
you weren't waiting for, you weren't expecting that. So, anyway, every day brings on something new. Who else has got some fire to share?
I want to highlight Mealy. She's got 2 returning clients that just contacted her yesterday to try to do resale and buy a new home. And then I'm hosting my second open house, and I had my first realtor tour this past week. So learning a lot.
Love it. Congratulations, guys. That's awesome. That's awesome. Great way to start the new year out. Who else?
I have some fire.
Tell us.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. I got 3 3 executed contracts this week, and I'm coming for my 4th one this Saturday. So 2024 is starting off really good for me. I'm super excited.
That's awesome. Yeah. The only person left at the office last night here at 7 o'clock when I left was none other than Mighty Saul. And she was still a
Yeah.
client. So anyway, congratulations. That's awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Who else? Anybody else? Well, I have a quick fire. I can't say their names yet because we haven't announced it yet, but I had a husband and wife team that we've tried to get twice to come on board here, and they're dynamic. They do a lot of business here in town. They're very well known, and they called me out of the blue and said they wanted to come by and meet again. I was like, good Lord, y'all just changed a company several months ago, and they came by and they said, they'd gone to one of these virtual companies. I won't say which one. There are only a couple of them, EXP or Real, but they had been offered the world and everything, but it just wasn't working out for them. And so the long and short of it is that we met yesterday. I'm part of Real Estate Mastermind group, and I started seeing them asking about all kinds of other brokerages. So it was like the dagger in the heart, right? I was like, oh, of course, I'm not gonna say anything like jump in, like, why are you talking about them or whatever. And by the time I got the text this morning, we've made our decision. We're coming to Home Pros. We're so excited, blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, guys, it's sometimes easy to assume to the worst. I am an assumer. I will assume things. I'll get things in my mind. I'll let it cloud my mind. I'll say, oh my gosh, I lost that deal or lost this or lost that. And the reality is that that's not always the case. So assume is a 4-letter word, even though it's not. Don't let it get into your head. And a lot of times things aren't nearly as bad as we make them out to be in our own mind. We play terrible mind tricks on ourselves sometimes. So anyway, that's my fire. And it is 10:15. Any final comments from anyone? Julia, you've been really quiet. You don't have any final comments? You don't have anything uplifting for the team here? You're my uplifting person.
Yes, I know. I like, oh, Julia, yes. Okay, I'll tell you my fire. I have a closing next week, and this is amazing. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about this. I got these sellers, and they said, after the CMA, I did 325. They wanted 350. And I said, I cannot give you 350, but I'm sure that I can give you 325. And this is when I feel that what David Knox says about being confident about the work that you are doing. And they decided to list it at 350. And a week later, they called. We need to lower the price of what you said, like perfect. And soon after, I got a full contract for that price and no appraisal, no nothing. So it's like, boom, that is what I feel like doing. And that is number 1. 2, I will have a listing on the 15. I've been waiting for that because the house been repaired. But the most important for me is that I'm getting up between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. I do my morning routine, which I have fell off the wagon. But I found this. If you guys, this is the Diario de los Hábitos. This is like the habit diary. And what I have here, I have my gratitude here. I don't know if you're looking, but most important, this is like the habit. And I'm crossing what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. And I put over here 5 calls. And I'm making sure, I was talking to because I do role play every morning at 8:30 in the morning with a lady from Connecticut. But I said, I don't know about these tracking things. I had felt in the past too that when I doing that on my own, because I don't want to put I didn't do it, I force myself to do it. And that is helping me to keep on my toes. Before the end of the day, I check on that and I see what I have done that I say I will do and what I haven't done that I decided to. Like closing the day, it's how do I feel about the day? Did I accomplish my task? Did I read? Those things that you are receiving on WhatsApp, this is the book that As the Man Thinketh, and I'm just taking notes and do it. So I'm pouring my brain of a lot of good food rather than garbage food that we sometimes put. And that is what I feel good, because when you are putting the good thing in your mind and your body, good things come back to you.
I love that. So true. And I used to have a coach that told me all the time, and it was like they would call everything junk food, and a lot of it was the stuff we put in our mind and think about, stuff like that. It's to stop eating junk food, and it was it had about to do with everything. And so it's interesting you say that. All right, thank you very much, Julia. Call you both names. Either goes. Anyone else has any other questions, comments, thoughts? All right, guys. I think we are closed on Monday. It is Martin Luther King Day on Monday. I want to double check that. We'll obviously get something out to everyone, letting you guys know. I know mortgage and title are closed, and let me circle back with Ted, the big boss in the back, and ask him if that's what we're doing. And but I think I'm good with that, so we'll send something out on that. Because of Martin Luther King, next Tuesday was not Taco Tuesday, but the following Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. So we'll get you stuff out on that and what's coming up and things like that. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all for coming. And I love today. And we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you.